Good evening, everyone. So, the good news is I've made further submissions of my writing. One to a prize called Chapter One, which publishes a first book, be it fiction or poetry, and you have to provide a synopsis and a sample. So, I've got a book, as I referred to in a previous video, called Stone Bitter Stories, and it actually evolved kind of over several decades. It's not new work of mine, but it still has its own inner workings. And the poem that I chose to be representative of Stone Bitter Stories was Yunderup. So Yunderup is an area in the southwest of Western Australia that is in Perth, and we used to go there on holidays. It's a very touching poem, and hopefully it gets their interest, because if so, then it can lead to being given an editor and publication with UWA Press. So that would be great. The other thing was just a standout poem that's come from my more experimental work, that is from a book that I'm evolving called Loop Vertigo, and the poem's called The Wave and the Particle. So I'm really glad that I just made the effort and submitted these along with an extract, 5,000 word extract of my novella for another category. The novella is called Missing Persons, and the extract alongside a synopsis that I sent is called Ossuary. So a lot of this stuff kind of co-evolved, and it's just been sitting around. I mean, some of the poems out of Stone Bitter Stories have been published. I want to say something like maybe 6, but that was largely in the 90s and 2000s. So I haven't really been building up a record of publications creatively. And it's time to come back to it, because some of the stuff, not just in my opinion, is pretty stunning. And maybe this will just infuse my enthusiasm to continue writing, give me a little bit of impetus, because I am writing in new ways now. Not so much fiction, although I would like to do that. It's such a entering into creating new worlds with fiction. And speaking of, Guillermo del Toro has a feature film retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And a friend of mine and I have seen the trailer, and we weren't really impressed. I do like Guillermo del Toro's films. In fact, one of my poems even cites one of his films, and I've enjoyed them over the years. But I just think a woman should be making Frankenstein. My friend suggested the filmmaker who made The Substance. Anyway, the jury's out until we actually see the whole thing, right? But I really love that novel, Frankenstein. I really do. What do you think about Frankenstein? What are your favourite books? Fiction, poetry, or even memoir, or other types of writing? Non-fiction? What kind of style of writing or genre do you like? Gothic horror, science fiction, thrillers? Don't say fantasy, because I'm not into fantasy. It's okay to have fantasies, but reading fantasies, I don't know. They just don't do it for me. Yeah, I have some favorite poets, but I really got to do a whole lot more reading as well. I saw a book by Natalie Diaz, who, well, she's the recent winner of the Pulitzer Prize for poetry, and that's pretty impressive. She's a young woman. And I do also like Ocean Byung's work, and I like Grace Cho's Tastes Like War as a memoir. All of these works sort of in different ways are influencing me, but I also read history. I also read biography when I can. I read academic works, I read into theoretical physics. I should actually be studying physics, and someone in a previous video said, what the hell does trans have to do with physics? Well, guess what? It has a lot to do. And that's what my poem, The Wave and the Particle, is about. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll come through with some visionary outcomes.